Hi crafters, it's Karen and I have another project to share. I completed another mixed media layout. For this layout I used the new Free Spirit paper collection by Prima. I had ordered this and one set of the 12 by 12 sheets from your scrapbook supply, and I love this paper collection. The colors are so, well, I'll share it with you. It kind of reminds me of the Lifetime collection, except the colors are so summery and spring. Just beautiful colors. Just a very youthful, fun stack. This is the sheet that I did my layout on in the 12 by 12. Isn't that sweet? All those colors muted together. Just gorgeous. I love this collection. And then it has some gray tones to balance it all out. Look at that. Beautiful paper. Yes, so I used this collection, and I also used, some of the K & Company Wild Raspberry paper stack to accent my layout. I didn't want to cut up all of my 12 by 12 sheets or all of my other pad. So I used some of these papers, and I'll show you in the layout, but I used some of these papers to work with it, and I thought the colors were a great complement to the Free Spirit collection. I used this one with the hearts and the turquoise and yellow tones, and then this pink color. So this is my layout, and as you can see, it's of my granddaughter. I had taken her out in the yard one day, and I think it was the first time that she had ever really felt the grass. See? So we just went out there and sat for a while, and I took a bunch of pictures, and this was one of them. So I started by taking my 12 by 12 sheet, and then I tore, if you could see this here, I tore other pieces, strips, from a couple of the other papers from the collection in the A4 size, and also some of the picked raspberry papers from K & Company. You can see them here and here. So I knew the papers were going to be mostly covered up, so I didn't want to cut into more of my Prima if I was going to be cutting it up, if I was going to be covering it up. So that's what I did. I just laid down, used my Mod Podge and cut the strips and laid them across this way. And then I took some of this, it's the canvas, what do they call them? Canvas Resist, and I used this one, and I cut it in half, as you can see it there. And these are the colors I used mostly throughout the layout. I used the Glimmer Mist Pink Poodle, really sweet pink, and I also used the Lindy Stamp Gang Aloha Avocado, which is a nice soft green, really pretty. And then I used these Spritz by Shimmers. This is Bamboo Leaf, another pretty color, and as dark as it looks in this bottle, it actually comes out, you know, lighter. It's not as intense, if that makes any sense. And then I used this one, it's called Cotton Candy. So those are the sprays that I used. So, and I used on the Resist Canvas strip. So I laid my strips of paper across using my Mod Podge, laid the piece of Resist Canvas across. I covered it, then went over it with some extra thick, I think it's called extra heavy gesso, something like that. It's the heavy gesso. Then I went over that spot with the heavy gesso because I knew I was going to be using my sprays and whatnot. and I wanted those tones to be more muted. I didn't want them to be definitely not brighter than the photo. So that's what I did. I distressed all my edges with the Prima tool and used one of my color box chalk inks to color it. Over here in the corner, you could see I used one of my Fisker's border punches up here in the corner, and then a different one down here in this corner, you know, just as a playful, distressed, shabby look, I guess. Over here, if you could see that, and I'll hold the layout closely so you could see the detail, but I used this stencil by the Crafter's Workshop, and it's the one with the branch with all the bird cages hanging down. Really sweet, and I thought this was a good layout to do that with. But I had already layered my cheesecloth on and everything, so it didn't work out as well as I had hoped. So I went over it again using the stencil. The first time I used light molding paste, and it didn't show up as much, especially within the cheesecloth and whatnot. So then I laid my stencil down and did it again using the Textures Crushed Coral color by Shimmers. Really sweet color, and it came out a real shimmery, soft pinkish pink color, if you could see that. So I was pretty pleased with that. And then I did another bird cage down here in the corner, and I'll show you a better close-up look in a moment. And then I only did a little bit of stamping over here and just throughout, and I used one of the small, I didn't bring it out with me, one of the small Prima stamps. It has the alphabet on it and with different images. But anyway, I did that using my Prima inks, chalk edgers, and spraying the stamp with water and then stamping it about, and it gives it a watercolor effect, which worked really well with the paper, because the whole paper looks like watercolor colors on it. I just love this collection. So that's what I did. Over here, this is a crocheted doily that my friend Lucy had given to me, and she had made a whole bunch of these, and I'm telling you, she gets them so tight and perfect. I mean, they're just beautiful. So I just took a half of one because the colors, I knew the colors would set off the flowers really well. I'll show you. Those baby soft colors, you know. So I knew it was going to get covered up, so I only used a half of it because I'm kind of hoarding the ones that she had given me. But so that's what I laid there. I laid some cheesecloth over here, and I started layering my flowers. This is a Michael's flower, the big ones that you could find in the wedding section. And I had gone over that with some of the sprays, and then I went heavy on the gesso on it because I didn't want it to be so bright. And then there's a bunch of I Am Roses flowers in there, and Recollections, and a couple of flowers from the $1.50 spot at Michael's. There's some Recollections petals here. I used a couple of the blue ones to bring out the blue in her dress. And then I took some of the green stems and I twirled them and stuck them at the ends, if you could see that there. So that's how I used the large flower and then just built off of that for my cluster. Alyssa's photo is on cardboard so that it's the layout, so that she's, you know, more dimensional. And then on this side is another doily that Lucy had created for me, and I had cut that in half as well, and I laid it one half there. This is a Prima flower. It's beautiful, and I thought it worked really well coming off of the cheesecloth there. So, and then the the sprays coming off of it are from Petaloo, but what I did was I took some of my buttons, green and pink and white buttons, and I used string to tie them all off. And I just put them within the spray so that it looked like a spray of flowers and buttons. I thought it gave a nice youthful look to it. And I went over everything with a heavy hand of gesso, but also some of the Martha Stewart texture medium for that distressed, shabby look to it. And then, if you could see, I laid the layout on this gray piece of Coordinations cardstock. And then I started tucking in some lace. This is some of the lace here and up here that Steph, Brown Baby Craftaholic, had sent me. And this is some lace from my stash. And I tucked in a little bit of string here, flowers. I'll show you a closer look in a moment. And then some string coming out here. I just wanted to give it a more playful look around the edges. And I thought I did that. Let me adjust the camera so that I can hold the layout. Whoops, sorry. So I tucked in some lace and some flower petals. Whoops, sorry. There, I titled it Explore because she's exploring the grass for, I think, the first time. So I'm trying to do this so you could get a better look at the textures and the edges. I don't know if it's coming out. There's the flower cluster, and see, I just added some string in there coming out just for added interest and texture, just a playful look to it because you know, I felt it was a youthful layout, you know, with the baby. And some more of the lace. I tucked in a little flower petal from Recollections. Over here I looped some more string and a little Recollections rose there, and I used the other half of the doily in there. And as you could see throughout the layout, I did add sequins. And I used pink, white, and also blue sequins to bring out the blue in her dress. And there's the stencil work with the shimmers dimensions. Really sweet. And you could see some of the what do you call them? I just said it. Sequins. You could see some of the sequins catching the light throughout the layout, and again, I thought it gave it a nice fun look to the layout element. A nice, fun, youthful look to the element to the layout. So sorry. So I was really pleased with this, with the layout. I love the way the edges came out and the way, with the different things coming out from in between the layout and the back paper. I just thought it looked real sweet. I used my Lizzie foam thickers to spell Explore up there in the right-hand corner. So that's basically my layout. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think, and I am sure I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.